your wall. This is actually a late 14th century copy, probably from circa 1375, of Bernardo Gui's Speculum Sanctorale. And what this essentially is what's called a legendary, or a collection of saints' lives. The text itself, while significant, wasn't that popular, and the reason that we're showing it to you today is not because of what the words happen to say, but because of this little guy right here. And this is an original medieval bookmark. And as you can see, it's still bound in to the original binding. This is an original late 14th century binding in deerskin over boards. And what's significant about this is I don't have an exact census for you, but there are an extremely low number of these bookmarks that still survive. And most of those that do survive do not exist in their original books. They survive as single independent units. They're not on strings. They're not bound into their texts. But this is a significant and fun object for more reasons than the fact that it's extremely rare. This is what I really like to call an example of medieval hypertext. Books, as you can see, looking at this layout, could be pretty hard to read in the Middle Ages. You've got tightly packed, condensed text. The colors that are operating here are serving not just as decoration, but predominantly as punctuation. Modern punctuation systems didn't really develop as we know them now until the late 16th century. And so medieval readers and writers would employ these different colors in order to help them navigate their way through the text. In spite of any sort of help that these colors could give, however, the whole process of reading one of these books could be very, very difficult, so they created other forms of reader's aids, and this bookmark is an example of this. And I'll show you how it works right now. Step one, this is very much like any modern bound-in bookmark that we can think of today. It's on a string, and you just lay the string in, and it will mark your page opening. However, you'll notice that there are 4 columns of text on this page. Well, this would be primus, secundus, tertius, and quartus, the first, second, third, and fourth columns. If you take our bookmark, you'll notice one that it has a lovely little drawing on it, pen and ink drawing, and you'll notice that it spins. This is what's called a volvel bookmark. On the back, you have 4 words written: primus, secundus, tertius, and quartus. We'll drop this one, we'll stop it right there, and we'll mark it at quartus. Now, what this is telling us is the reader is on the 4th column. Not the first, second, third, but on the 4th column. So we have 2 steps: page opening, column marker. Now, I'm not going to do this because it's extremely fragile, but you'll notice this knot right here. This little knot just between my fingers is actually a noose of sorts, and it would allow you to move this bookmark up and down the string. And that would allow you to then not only mark the page opening in the column you're on, but the exact position within the column where you had stopped reading. This is a very, very creative way that medieval people developed in order to help them navigate their way through their texts. There are all sorts of other examples, but this one is probably the rarest one that we've got here at Ohio State, and it's a very, very popular feature of this late 14th century manuscript. I'm sure most of you,